a spike strip maneuver or anything like that, but I can tell you one tire already gone. We're still on Osborne, a big bump right there, starting to make some turns out here. That car impaired, lots of other cars on the freeway tonight. You know, you'd think, right? But this car is really for very, very high speeds earlier on. It's been on surface streets. I know I said freeway there just a moment ago. It's been on surface streets the entire time, missing that one wheel on the back there, one tire. Wheel's still in place, but it's been moving very fast. Right now going much slower as it's working ways through a neighborhood. They know where the car is registered to. We know that there's been some kind of communications, possibly with family members, but right now, though, this is still an armed suspect eluding officers this evening, and the LAPD is taking their precautions. They don't want to go into tracking mode. They don't want to try to pit the vehicle because this person may be armed. So right now it's just been a pursuit. We've been in these residential neighborhoods. I'll get you some streets here in just a moment. Luckily, when we're on the residential streets, not that much traffic. Really starting to move out again. We're on Hazeltine. That's the street we're on right now. Residential area, though, this car continues to elude officers, and you can see that smoke coming from that rear wheel. You know, that also has been a big question. We've been listening in. We've been trying to get the information. They are saying it's just the driver right now, just the driver. Every now and then, because of the lights and stuff, we are trying to get a glimpse inside the vehicle, see maybe we can get a look or see what's inside that car. We just know the driver's in the car right now. Again, residential neighborhood. Roscoe, they're coming up on Roscoe up here, and they're saying there is cross traffic, going to get a little bit wider. Looks like we're going to take an alleyway right now. Take a look at all the officers behind this vehicle right now. LAPD doing what they can to keep the public safe, but they want this suspect in custody. Whoa! Whoa! You know, what they try to do to intervene is maybe in an opportunity like this, they'll get a little bit closer. They won't block this guy in. And because armed suspect, they're going to stay in pursuit. They're not going to be doing any of those type of deals where they just go to tracking mode and hope that this guy comes to an end. The car being impaired like this, I'm sure that's what they're kind of hoping for right now, is that the vehicle is going to give up before the driver does, and then possibly that person will realize it's futile and just going to give up. Right now, though, we've been in this residential neighborhood out here. I'm going to try to get you the exact areas, but we know we're very close to Hazeltine. We're very close to Roscoe. Looking out the window, I would say we're in a Panorama City area, maybe close to Van Nuys. This started in the out over in the Pacoima area. That's the area where it started. Officers got behind this vehicle. Unknown want, but we do know they turned on their reds and blues, and this guy did not stop. Well, you know, what they're right now, their concern is basically is going to be public safety. Spike strips may be an option. You never really know. You know, I'm just an armchair warrior out here, not an LAPD officer or even know much about their policies, except that right now we're hearing them saying that they are not going to do anything to try to stop the vehicle, except for just stay behind it and try to warn the public. We're back out onto a major road right now, just going back underneath the 5 freeway, I believe that was. I'm sorry, southbound Van Nuys Boulevard. So you can see that smoke coming off that passenger side. I'm going to see if we can get Sky 9 onto the other side of the vehicle and see maybe we can get a better look at that tire. Coming up on Saticoy right now, working our way into the Van Nuys area. You saw the speeds pick up. You know that car is impaired. That driver desperate to get away from these officers. Another solid red coming up right now, and you can see that there is light traffic, thank goodness. And you can also see that helicopter using the lights, trying to warn others in the area. Take a look at that one officer right there, doing some great maneuvering right there, driving around other vehicles, staying as close as they can to this guy. Look at that parking lot, guy on a bike! Oh! hit a pedestrian right there. You know, just got that rear wire. Yes, and you know, you saw he got that rear wheel, didn't knock that rider down. But this is so dangerous to the public in general. And, you know, right now, working his way through this parking lot, I'm getting a little wider of a shot here, just trying to figure out where we are. Sometimes these parking lots don't have back exits. This one does, working his way back out onto a road. But you saw backing out onto Sherman Way right now. So Sherman Way, Van Nuys was near the cross, working his way back onto Sherman Way. But what a scary moment for that guy on a bicycle, two people. And now you can actually see some of that damage on that car and how that passenger rear wheel, the tire, completely gone, but the wheel's still there. All right, cool. Another big street. Sherman Way and Woodman. Going to center lane, center lane. Well, we're working our way Sherman Way, extremely high speeds, especially for a vehicle that's disabled. Sherman Way, we're getting into the North Hollywood area. We're going to be coming up on the 170 freeway. Take a look how quickly this guy is passing the other vehicles on the roadway this evening. We saw that one very close call with a bicyclist coming up on Coldwater. A lot of traffic out here, hitting those brakes again, trying to work his way through there. Going to have to bump it. Oh, look at that, just squeaking right by, getting through there, right through Coldwater. That other vehicle, that LAPD vehicle, always taking that outside lane, doing a great job staying right with this guy. Now we're staying on Sherman Way. This is an eastbound direction. That we just went through Coldwater. Going to be in the North Hollywood area. 170 freeway. Haven't seen this guy on any freeways this evening. This car, though, really is taking that punishment out here this evening. Look at these speeds. He continues to speed up. You know, earlier on, I heard you guys talking. We were in the residential neighborhoods. Maybe it wasn't the. It was that he just didn't have these big straightaways. Here we go. We're making a sharp turn right there. South on Whitsett right now. Sharp turn. That car, even with that missing tire, doing pretty well out here, all things considered. Now, LAPD, they don't think that this is any kind of game. That suspect, they're saying, is armed. So they are being very, very careful right now. Of course, this is just right now all kind of preliminary. You know, we'll figure it all out when it all comes out in the end. Right now, though, this car not stopping for LAPD this evening. They're saying fresh red. Hang on, we got a lot of traffic, they're saying, coming through there. And you can see the cars just driving, doing their business. Whoa, that one getting really close. That helicopter, that one we saw right there, that was LAPD, just past Van Owen. That was so Whitsett, Van Owen, now using center lanes. This car continuing to speed up out here this evening. Seen some very close calls. One pedestrian almost struck a bicyclist. Thank goodness it seemed to be just a bump on the tire of the bike. But right now, still a very dangerous pursuit out here in the valley this evening. Well, right now I'm just trying to keep the camera from spinning. But we've been winding our way around. We're actually making a big turn. We're heading back towards the Van Nuys area. I'd say we're still in the North Hollywood area right now. I'll get you that major street here in just a second. That vehicle continuing to fail to yield. That's what they're saying right now. Pursuit. The car, they wanted it to stop. We're going to be making another sharp turn right now. You can see that car really starting to work when we're making those turns. Right now, LAPD, that one vehicle very close behind it. We're back on Coldwater Canyon. We're heading northbound on Coldwater, so we're heading back towards Sherman Way. You know, this guy, not sure what he's going to be doing out here, hoping he'll just kind of pull over. Right now, Coldwater is kind of an empty street, as we're seeing, but, you know, using up some of these lanes, coming up on another red, we're hearing some more cross traffic out there. Looks like we're back over to Sherman Way. Can't say for sure. Going to be making his way through that one as well. LAPD still right behind him. This vehicle, kind of disabled, has only 3 working tires on it, but it's still doing kind of well, all things considered. That driver, though, not a trained professional would be my guess right now. And using those center lanes, northbound Laurel Canyon, we're going to be working our way back out towards, I would say, the Pacoima area. We're heading back towards that direction. But right now, though, LAPD still right behind this guy. All they want him to do is pull over. Jeez, this guy's moving. Back on to Roscoe. Well, you know, I'm sure nobody's hoping that he's going to be crashing. We're going to be getting on a freeway right now, northbound 170 freeway. LAPD right behind him right there. You know, they obviously don't want this guy to crash. They don't want to cause any injury to any other persons, even that suspect. Their safety, that suspect's safety is something that these guys are thinking about. Look at that, going over a center medium to get away from those officers. Now, this vehicle, possibly a Mitsubishi, it could also be an all-wheel drive vehicle. We don't know this for a fact as of yet, but you saw it make its way over that center divider. We saw some sparks come out of the bottom and that wheel. 170 freeway now, working his way, doing better than freeway speed, so he's going to probably about 65, 70. You can see we're going to be coming up to the 5 freeway right now. Not sure what this car is going to be doing, but you can see LAPD still right there. Sheldon was the last off-ramp that he passed. Now, this suspect, they're saying, is armed. And like you said, you know, trying to stop any suspect. They don't want to put any officers in harm's way. They don't want to put any public in harm's way. So what they usually try to do is what we see. We see these crazy pursuits. They try to wake these people out. They hope nobody gets injured. But right now, this person, possibly armed, We don't have any kind of confirmation, but just the fact that he may be armed, or there's a reason to believe the officer's taking that extra precaution. They don't want to pit the car, don't want to be don't want to get they don't want to put officers in harm's way. They don't want that vehicle to spin out. They don't want that person to use the weapon if he has it. Now we are established northbound 5 freeway. You can see this three-wheeled vehicle this evening moving so very quickly out here on the 5. Looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway. There goes the rest of that wheel. That wheel is totally gone now, so now he's basically on the hub. So he's running on that hub, starting to throw some really good sparks. We're exiting on Osborne. This is kind of where we picked it up this evening. So 5 freeway, Osborne. You can see a lot of sparks coming out of the back of that car. Kind of wondering how long this vehicle is going to be keeping up this race. That's it, locked up. Yep. 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 That's it. Well, this car is grinding itself to almost a complete stop out here. Coming up on San Fernando right now. We've been on Osborne, so basically just making his way back to where he came from. Wrong side of the road there, just for a moment or two. Take a look at those sparks coming out of the back of these vehicles. We've seen some of these pursuits in the past where we saw sparks coming out of a vehicle. This is speechless right now. That rear wheel totally has come apart. That hub is stopped. That tire is not moving. Basically just running on the rim, running on the axle right now on that rear wheel of this car. Some sort of Mitsubishi. I'm not sure exactly the make or model of this car, but definitely just dragging that rear end as he's trying to keep away from officers this evening. You know, they were saying that this person possibly DUI suspect. So, you know, vehicles impaired, drivers impaired, yet thank goodness we have seen only one minor collision this evening. Yes, it was with a bicyclist, but we didn't even see that bicyclist go on the ground. But take a look at this car. It is starting to really come apart. Grinding this thing to almost to a complete stop. You got to also kind of wonder, though, even though that car is still moving, there's probably a lot of heat coming out of the bottom of that vehicle right now, especially over there. You know, the gas tanks back there, other parts of the vehicle, lots of oil in that area, brake lines. So this car, I'm wondering how much longer it's going to be keeping it up. LAPD, though, their cars in really good shape. So right now it might just be one of those, we're just waiting this thing out. This car is going to come to a slow stop here slowly, hopefully making another sharp turn out here. But eastbound Osborne again, so we're basically just making these big giant turns out here this evening. LAPD right there behind them. You know, even at these speeds they wouldn't pit this guy, but they're saying possibly armed, so they're definitely not going to try to do that. But this car just continues to elude these officers this evening, and just, you know, it is almost to the point where you just got to wonder how much longer this car can just stay on the road. Axle's coming apart. Yep. That axle's going to come out. Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Earlier on, I thought maybe this thing was an all-wheel drive vehicle. Right now, it's got to be front-wheel drive, just dragging that rear end along out here. We're still moving along, though. Very good clip. We've been staying basically in the area where this thing started. We're out in the San Fernando Valley, obviously, but we're over in the Pacoima area, staying out here. You know, we did see some of that rear end start to come apart when he made that one turn, so I'm wondering how much longer that it's just going to be, just staying a car. That was a 210 freeway, so we're going to be eastbound Foothill Boulevard underneath the 210 freeway, so we're going to be getting up into the Sunland area. But this is just leaving Pacoima. But right now, though, this thing just keeps on going. That driver, so lucky this evening. I can't say that this is any type of skill. You don't want to give this guy any credit. He is a suspect. He is endangering people's lives out here, endangering his own life for that matter. But that car just continues to take this punishment, making those sparks out there. Gotta wonder, though, we've been saying it for a couple of times, how long is this going to be going on? LAPD right behind him, helicopter right above him. So they've got this thing covered from all angles. They're still working our way through these streets out here. There's no traffic, thank goodness, but you can see those sparks just coming out of the back of the vehicle. I just wonder how much more metal is left in the back there to continue making those trail of sparks this evening. Yeah. We are at 170 in the 5. Oh, definitely. We've been looking at back and forth. We've been hearing some of the LAPD talking about it as well. Definitely just the driver. Looks like some of the bigger pieces are starting to fall out from underneath that vehicle this evening. This car continues just to grind itself down to almost nothing. LAPD continues to stay right behind this guy. They're not going to give up. And, you know, that driver, he has that same mentality apparently. But in the end, I am sure LAPD is going to be the winner all in all. This car, though, continues to just grind and grind and grind. Coming across here on the wrong side of the road, Foothill Boulevard, starting to he's making some turns here over another center divider. It looks like that car, you know, maybe he's just kind of just letting it go now, but I thought maybe it was not good. He was going to come to an end there, but now he's starting to move again. I was looking, trying to get some speeds. I haven't heard anybody call anything out. On Foothill Boulevard, I can tell you, Sky 9 was going about 70 miles an hour, 70 to 75 miles an hour. So we were keeping up with that car. So he's going about 60 to 70 miles an hour across the ground down there. These still very high speeds. We're working our way out into the La Cañada area is probably the next city that we're going to be heading into. Not that much traffic this evening, thank goodness. All the streets he's been picking are pretty much straightaways. That's also kind of good for this situation because he's not going to have to do much braking. But look at this. This car coming apart. He's passing other cars that are just almost like they're standing still. LAPD right there behind him. It seems to be that same unit that's been behind him the entire time. But this car continues to elude officers, LAPD in the air, on the ground. These sweeping turns right here, this is where I start to worry. If he loses control with other cars in the area, it could be very, very ugly. Just past Mount Gleason, that was the last cross street that we just went through, that light. Luckily, we haven't been catching a lot of red lights. He's been very lucky this evening, but eventually that luck is going to run out. That car is going to come to a stop. It's amazing. This thing just keeps going and going. LAPD still behind him. Right now, we are in a helicopter moving about 50 miles an hour, just kind of following along. So this car is keeping these extremely high speeds. We're working our way. I'm looking out the window. The roads seem almost empty this evening. There are some turns that are coming up, but hopefully this will come to an end very peacefully. Well, sometimes we've seen a lot of, the policies lately. They've been just allowing the vehicles, they'll chase them and then they'll kind of back off and hope that the person behind the wheel will calm down, maybe get some sense and pull over. We've also seen them get into what they call tracking mode. That's where the LAPD on the ground will basically just totally back off. We won't see the vehicles at all. They'll turn off their lights and sirens. They'll stay in the area, but the helicopter overhead will keep an eye on it and just make sure that the public is safe, and they'll watch that vehicle, keep an eye out, let the officers on the ground know where he is, what's going on. In this case, they are saying that this person possibly armed, and that makes everything a lot different. There must be something else that the officers are, to stay so close to this vehicle and to keep that pursuit going for so long. They're going to want us, they want this person in custody. They don't want this to just kind of go away. They don't want it to show up the next day, knock on their door and say, hey, we saw you, you were in a pursuit, you're going to jail. They are keeping a very close eye on this because of the added danger. If you can even add some danger to this crazy pursuit tonight, disabled vehicle, impaired driver perhaps, extremely high speeds. Now we're working our way up into the canyon areas. I'll get you some streets here in just a moment, but add the fact that this person possibly armed makes it so much more dangerous. And they understand that this... Oh no, I was just going to say that the registered vehicle, where the vehicle is registered to, assuming that the driver is the owner of the vehicle, we understand that we may be getting close to that person's house. So so that's what the LAPD is kind of thinking right now, is that perhaps he might try to get to an area that he knows and then maybe jump out of the vehicle and try and run. Oh, definitely. And, the LAPD has, I always say they've got their little bag of tricks. They got their ways that they're going to bring this to an end. They do. They have a plan. They're not just running blindly behind this person, hoping that this thing comes to an end. But, this evening, they can't use the pit because they don't want to put officers' lives in danger because of the arms part of it. But also at these high speeds, they wouldn't be able to do it either. They can't use the spike strips because he hasn't been making wide turns or just staying in the same area. Basically, we've been staying on very big streets. He's been making basically straight line runs for this entire time. So the spike strip's not really a tool they can use either. So right now, basically what they're doing is they are staying behind that vehicle. They're following along. This car continues to go, just basically amazing, going back underneath the 210 freeway right now. So this car continues to just trail sparks this evening. LAPD continues to chase it. That suspect... we're understanding that it looks like he's committing himself to get back onto the freeway. This is astonishing, and he just got to, I'm hopeful that anybody else that's on the freeway, they are going to be able to stay safe. This vehicle, is not safe anymore, and he's trying to make his way onto the freeway, continuing to elude the officers. We're getting back onto the 210 freeway right now. It's runs and errors. They're doing some work on the 210 this evening, but the freeway is open. Well, we got more than an hour. Yeah. Copy. Hour 20. Hour and a half. Eastbound. Coming up on the 2, yeah. Going 80. Nothing. A hub. Oh. Yeah. Well, I can tell you we're going about 80 miles an hour on the 210. If we haven't passed the 2, we're getting up to the 2 right now. We're getting to the 2 freeway. And you can see that car, really, sometimes you see some brilliant sparks, and sometimes you'll see what we're seeing right now. Makes you wonder if maybe whatever's been grinding is grinding its weight down. I'm just guessing right now, probably something that's holding that rear axle together. We also know that rear bumper is kind of coming apart there. We've been seeing that piece flopping around. Obviously that axle, if it comes off, it's going to disable that vehicle even more, if that's even possible. But right now, though, that continues on. We are on the 210 freeway. It looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway here. But hang on, I'm sorry about that. A big overpass. There he is, and he did not exit. Stayed on the 210 freeway. But that vehicle just continues to throw those sparks. LAPD stays right there. Up here we can't hear what it sounds like, but I could just imagine that horrendous noise that this thing is making as it's going 80 miles an hour down the freeway, dragging whatever it is, the back end of that car, throwing out those sparks. Less and less sparks, which is interesting in itself, makes you wonder whatever's been grinding away, what has happened to that. LAPD still in pursuit out here. They're talking possibly about handing this over to the CHP. But right now, it continues to go eastbound 210 freeway. We're going to be getting into the Pasadena area. Now, it is just amazing. I thought that this thing would be coming to an end, as when we saw that wheel come apart. But it just continues to go out here. The driver, DUI suspect, possibly armed. That vehicle just continues to go. That driver just continues to hammer that throttle. Looks like maybe we saw some swerving right there. Maybe going to be getting off. LAPD, though, staying right behind it. Very serious this evening. Very professional. Keeping the public safe out here. Got a helicopter in the air. Several officers behind it. Not backing off, that is for sure. That driver continues to just try to stay away from these officers. But right now, luckily, nobody's been hurt. We saw that one scary collision earlier on. Looks like now we might be, yes we are, we're going to be taking an off-ramp. We'll get you that off-ramp here in a second. Hopefully he's going to have enough to stop it when he comes to that end of the off-ramp here. Getting back on the freeway. Yeah, let's stay on the passenger side for a minute or two. We're on the 210. Got back on. Yeah. You know, Elsa, you just kind of got to wonder. Yeah, we're back. We're westbound 210. Elsa, you know, this is the thing. It's like right now. Earlier on, it seemed to be like he was just trying to get away. Now it seems like he's almost just making this into some sort of game. This is not a game. This is very, very serious stuff out here. Very dangerous, especially to the public. That suspect driving that vehicle could be injured. Officers could get hurt in the process of chasing this dangerous suspect. Look at this, passing big rig trucks out here. I don't have a speed right now, but you know he's going faster than freeway speeds. Disabled vehicle. That rear wheel, that passenger rear wheel right there, that hub, not even turning anymore. The rim was gone earlier on when we were in the Pacoima area. He was on the 210 freeway doing about 80 miles an hour. We got off at an off-ramp just past the 2 freeway. He turned around. Now we're going westbound on the 210. LAPD behind him and in the air. They've been watching and following the suspect the entire time. DUI, you know, you just think that maybe this guy would try to come to his senses. Maybe it would kind of wear off and he just stopped. Right now, though, he just continues on as his pursuit eludes the officers for moments, but you know in the end, they're going to get this guy. Are we exiting again? I don't have it. I don't have it. No, I don't. I don't have Freak 5. Hey, I don't have Freak 5. I do not have Freak 5. Exiting Ocean View, westbound 10. We're westbound 210. Just exited Ocean View off the 210 freeway. Suspect is a wanted DUI driver. LAPD has been in pursuit for about almost 45 minutes, maybe more. We just got off the 210 freeway westbound Ocean View. You can see that car just grinding itself down. It is on 3 wheels, and you know earlier on it was a 3 tires. Then it was 3, and then we lost the wheel, and then after that it's just been riding on that axle, grinding and grinding away out here. LAPD in pursuit. They say this person may have a gun. The driver may have a gun. He's armed. That's one of the reasons why they're not trying to pit this vehicle or try to bring it to a stop forcibly, because that person may be armed. They don't want to put officers in harm's way. But you can see that vehicle continuing just to go and go and go this evening. Right now, though, back onto Foothill Boulevard. We were on Foothill earlier. Been basically making this huge turn through the valley and also now in the La Crescenta area and La Cañada. But this vehicle continuing to keep LAPD at just about arm's length. But this car continues continues to go, the driver impaired, the vehicle impaired. Luckily, we haven't seen any collisions except for when this car tapped a bicyclist as it tried to go through a parking lot earlier on. We saw them hit the back of the bike. That bicyclist didn't even go down. That bike rider knows his stuff, but that car did not stop. Now, LAPD is very serious about this, and this car needs to come to a stop. That suspect needs to get into go into custody just past La Crescenta. We're on we're on the Foothill Boulevard right now. This DUI driver impaired, his car impaired, high speeds this evening. Right now, going about 50 miles an hour on Foothill Boulevard. Yes. Yes. No. Yeah, we had a little issue here. Yeah, you know, this is amazing that this car is still going. It's more amazing nobody has really been hurt this evening. That DUI driver, you know, they wanted to pull this guy over. LAPD, they ran the plates. They always do. They kind of figured out who this person was. I know that they made some phone calls, and then there was this possibility that this person may be armed. That's when it all kind of got strange. They didn't want to give it up. They don't want to go into tracking mode. They can't use the pit maneuver. They're saying because the guy is armed, but come on. At these speeds, they would never do that type of pit maneuver. It would be too dangerous for the officers, too dangerous for that suspect, and God knows if anybody was in the area when they tried to do it. So they're just staying away from that. They can't use anything else from their bag of tricks, like the stop strips or the spike strips. Can't do that because he's basically in so many different areas. He isn't making blocks like we've seen, and also at these high speeds. Right now, I can tell you Sky 2 traveling over 60 miles an hour just to track this guy on Foothill Boulevard. So this guy really moving out. Very dangerous to the people on the ground. Luckily, he's been picking a lot of these straight type of roads. Foothill, yeah, it does have some turns in it, but it's not a lot of these winding roads where this vehicle would be so impaired that we'd see it slide around, and we have. When he tried to get off the freeway earlier on, that car was sliding all over the place. You got to figure, he's on 3 wheels right now and grinding that rear axle down. Whatever was sparking under there is basically kind of almost ground itself to nothing. LAPD still in pursuit. This is a very dangerous pursuit, and we continue on now, working our way back to the Pacoima area. Just around it. Making a sharp turn right there. Downward on Tahunga Canyon, westbound on Tahunga Canyon. But yes, it's got to be. It's got to be some kind of crazy loudness. If you ever had a flat tire in your car, you just imagine what that sounds like. Just imagine now you're just grinding that rear part of the car. So it's just this grinding metal as this car just continues to drag its butt. And, you know, it sounds kind of funny, but it's so dangerous for anybody around it. And that's what this car is doing right now. It does have a good tire on the driver's side, but that whole axle is just grinding along on the ground right there. This car continuing to make these crazy turns, and then he tries to speed up when he hits those turns. Northbound on Briggs, we're getting to a very residential neighborhood out here. I'll get you the name of the town. I believe we're going to be in Sunland still. Don't know if this is the suspects or they believe that this person lives, but we've seen this earlier on. He'll get into these neighborhoods, drive a little bit slower, make these blocks and stuff like that. That driver, though, said to be impaired. That car, definitely impaired. Well, you know, we know that they ran the plates and they have an idea who this person may be. Until they have that person in their custodies, we will not actually know who this person is behind the wheel. Right now, though, they're saying DUI driver. They're saying that possibly has a weapon. And we know for a fact that car just continues to go. And the sparks are even starting to slow down. So whatever was grinding on that car is is almost gone. Driving over speed bumps right now. We're going to be definitely into the Tahunga area. If we're not in the Tahunga Canyon area, definitely into Tahunga. But we're just working our way through these neighborhoods. You can see it's very tight, even for that car. And you can see that the officers get these opportunities. They get very close to that car. But they're still giving that person at least enough room to make his own decisions. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's it. That's, oh, that's it. That's it. Oh, no! He's trying to get through. That truck not letting him go. That truck not letting him go through there. A very dangerous situation for sure. That guy, boo! Then that's a dangerous situation as well. Using that vehicle as definitely, he knows what's going to happen out here. Officers from LAPD, they've got their weapons out. I do not see any less than lethal. If that driver continues to hit those vehicles, the officers' vehicles, this could end very, very badly. Right now, though, you can see him turning the wheel, trying to do something. The helicopter that just passed LAPD officers, weapons out, and numbers of officers now getting around that vehicle. That car, apparently not off, as I understand it, has not stalled out, and that driver still trying to get away. Very dangerous situation for those officers and that suspect right now. Well, Paul, he got out of his way. He got out of the office. He got out of harm's way. That's for sure. Definitely helped the officers. Don't know if he did that intentionally. I know for a fact I wouldn't be that willing to sacrifice my truck for a situation like this. But at any rate, it did bring this to an end right now. Officers, though, it is not over by any means. Officers taking this extremely seriously. Weapons out. I don't see any less than lethal out. So this guy still in that car, as I understand it. Right now, he's starting to submit. We see at least a hand coming out the window. Yep, and yeah, definitely, he's following commands, or he's done this before, not really clear. But right now, though, he's walking towards the officers. He's got his hands out. He's doing the prone position. Officers from LAPD, you do see some less than lethal now out there. I saw some green handles. Now he's getting down there on the ground. Hopefully, we'll be seeing those cuffs go on this person. And this pursuit, long going for sure, coming to an end out here, Tujunga area. And you're right, a civilian may have sacrificed his vehicle trying to bring this to an end. LAPD officers, though, doing a great job keeping up with this car this evening. And, I got to wonder if that bicyclist is okay. I'm sure he got the scare of his life this evening, earlier this, when he had a... Yeah.